Paige Bueckers wasn't even officially named to the team, but her presence in a speculative Team USA lineup alongside Caitlin Clark ignited a digital firestorm. What began as a hypothetical graphic quickly exploded into a fierce battleground of fan loyalties, with supporters of both players clashing over who truly deserves the spotlight. The backlash against Clark's inclusion, especially from die-hard Bueckers fans, revealed deep fractures in the sports community.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Many saw it not as healthy competition, but as a threat to legacy, exposing a raw tension between established reputations and New Age influence. What this uproar makes clear is that Clark has become a lightning rod for larger conversations reshaping women's basketball. Her popularity has transformed her into both an asset and a target, someone whose rising power challenges long-standing dynamics. The controversy wasn't just about one lineup. It was about control, relevance, and the uncomfortable transition toward a new era that doesn't wait for permission to move forward. It started as a speculative social media post, just a fan-made graphic, not official, not endorsed, just a prediction. But that single lineup featuring Caitlin Clark in the point guard spot lit a fuse. An explosion it triggered has pulled the entire women's basketball community into an all-out identity crisis. What should have been a harmless what-if became a full-blown war of loyalties, with Clark's name dragged to the fire and fans split down generational lines. The graphic didn't even confirm a final roster. It simply dared to put Caitlin Clark in the spotlight. And that was enough to set off a firestorm. Supporters of Paige Bueckers, Chelsea Gray, and other longtime stars didn't hold back. In their eyes, Clark's inclusion felt like a slap in the face, a betrayal of experience, a rejection of loyalty. The reaction wasn't just disappointment. It was outrage, a deep, personal offense at the very idea that someone so new could be placed ahead of veterans they followed for years. And then the rumors started. That Clark wasn't just caught in drama. She was ready to walk because of it. Allegedly, if Paige Bueckers made the Olympic roster, Clark was out. No compromises. No playing nice. A hard line. The basketball world imploded. Was it true? Was it strategic? Was this Clark refusing to play politics in a sport that's become increasingly performative behind the scenes? Whether the rumors are exaggerated or not, one thing is undeniable. This isn't just about one roster. It's about a massive shift happening in real time. And Clark? She's right in the center of it. Because this isn't really about Paige versus Caitlin. It's about what each of them represents. To many, Paige Bueckers stands for tradition, loyalty, the seasoned path. She's been around. She's battled injuries. She's proved herself in ways that matter deeply to longtime fans. And to those fans, Paige getting edged out by a rising star who just broke into the national spotlight feels like erasure, a rewriting of the story before it's finished. But then there's Clark. And Clark represents the now. She brings the numbers, the viewers, the money. She's a face on every highlight reel. The reason people who've never followed women's basketball are suddenly watching full games, buying jerseys, and debating rosters like their lives depend on it. Whether you like her or not, she moves a needle, fast, loud, and unapologetically. That's what made this entire controversy so volatile. Because it wasn't just a fan graphic. It was a mirror. It showed a sport at a breaking point between its past and its future, between the old guard and the new era that's coming whether they like it or not. And Clark? She's not just part of that new era. She is the era. Her inclusion in that hypothetical starting lineup didn't just challenge Paige Bueckers' spot. It challenged the very idea that veteran status automatically equals priority. And that did not go over well. Suddenly, it wasn't about talent. It wasn't about performance. It was about politics, perception, branding, marketability. And people lost their minds over it. Some claim Clark hadn't earned it yet. Others argued that her recent injuries disqualified her. But those same voices were silent when other injured players, like Gugu Watkins, were floated as roster options. Even more confusing, veterans like Aya Wilson and Breanna Stewart weren't even included in the graphic. That alone made people question the validity of the entire post. And yet, The outrage was laser-focused on one name, Caitlin Clark. Why? Because her name carries weight. It represents a movement that's changing the sport, faster than leadership is ready to handle. And the moment her name appears anywhere near that red, white, and blue jersey, the control starts slipping. And that's what this is really about, control. Leadership appears to be paralyzed by fear. Fear of fan backlash. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of upsetting long-standing loyalties. Instead of prioritizing talent or strategy, they seem to be building hypothetical teams around what won't get them dragged on Twitter. That's not team building. That's PR management. And it's killing the integrity of the game. Clark's rumored refusal to play if Bueckers is included, whether exaggerated or not, feels like a reaction to that exact dynamic, a protest against decisions that aren't about basketball anymore, that are about soothing egos, protecting reputations, and navigating fandom drama instead of putting the best players on the court. And honestly, can you blame her? Clark has already been snubbed once. She was left off the Olympic roster despite pulling numbers that made headlines around the world, despite bringing in more viewership than most NBA games, despite literally changing the way the sport is consumed. An excuse? Team chemistry. Experience. Vague, soft-pedal language that masked the real concern. Her presence would disrupt the existing power structure. And now, she's being treated like a political liability, as if her impact is too big, too sudden, too dangerous, as if her value as a cultural icon somehow disqualifies her from being taken seriously as a basketball player. That's what makes this so frustrating, because whether you love her or hate her, Caitlin Clark has earned the conversation. She's earned the right to be in that starting five, and she's earned the right to call out the hypocrisy when marketing value is used against her instead of for her. The debate over experience versus youth isn't new, but this time it's reached a breaking point, because Clark isn't just another rookie. She's the rookie, and the new generation of fans isn't here to wait for permission. They want energy. They want fire. They want the players who show up on TikTok, Headline SportsCenter, and have an actual impact beyond the court. The sport is changing, and that's what scares people. Veteran supporters are watching the spotlight shift, and they're pushing back, loudly, because for so long, women's basketball has been defined by consistency, grit, and years of grinding through underfunded programs and ignored seasons. Now, players are going viral before they even step on a WNBA court. And Clark is the face of that. That doesn't make her disrespectful. It makes her effective. She's what every league dreams of. A player who turns highlights into headlines, who turns games into events. And yes, who also happens to deliver on the court. So when she gets dragged into controversy over a fan-made lineup, when she's allegedly ready to step away because the leadership can't make a clear call without worrying about online drama, that's not a diva move. That's exhaustion. Because no matter what she does, the narrative gets twisted. Too confident? Arrogant? Too humble? Not vocal enough? Too popular? Unfair advantage? Not popular enough? Doesn't deserve the spotlight. It never ends. And yet, she keeps going. If she chooses to take a stand and demand clarity, demand fairness, demand a system that actually values merit over marketing optics, that's not selfish. That's necessary. Women's basketball doesn't need more politics. It needs leadership. So, if you're watching this unfold and wondering why the pressure keeps landing on Clark, look at the system. Look at the fan divisions. Look at the leadership vacuum. And ask why the most impactful player in the sport is still being treated like a problem instead of a solution. Support Caitlin Clark. Support players who demand better. Drop a comment if you think merit should come before marketing. Like if you're tired of the same old politics, holding back real progress. Share this with someone who still thinks women's basketball doesn't have drama. And subscribe, because with the way this is going, the next headline is only days away. The craziest part about all of this, it's not even about whether Caitlin Clark is the best point guard. That argument is long dead. She's proven herself time and time again, through record-breaking viewership, massive crowds, and a style of play that's made even the most casual fans take notice. What this mess really shows is how unprepared the system is to deal with change. Real change. The kind that doesn't wait for permission. Because Caitlin Clark didn't climb her way into the spotlight by politicking her way up the ladder or playing the slow game. She forced the sport to look at her. She forced fans to show up. She forced ESPN, the WNBA, and yes, Team USA to pay attention. And now that she's here, they're scrambling. They don't know what to do with a player who breaks the mold and brings in ratings while also challenging the quiet hierarchy that's been running this sport for years. And the fact that she's even rumored to be refusing a roster spot if Paige Bueckers is selected, that rumor alone was enough to throw the entire women's basketball world into chaos. But look closer. The rumor didn't just pop out of nowhere. It gained traction because it taps into a deeper truth. Caitlin Clark is tired of being used for numbers but excluded from power. She's tired of being everyone's golden ticket when it comes to TV deals and jersey sales, but somehow still being treated like an outsider when it's time to actually build a team. There's a reason fans saw that speculative post and immediately picked sides. It exposed something raw. It laid bare the divide between those clinging to the old order and those who want to see the game evolve. Fast. And with stars like Clark, it is evolving, whether leadership likes it or not. But the resistance is real. Supporters of Paige Bueckers went straight into defense mode. And while Bueckers is undoubtedly talented and has fought through serious injuries, the outrage over Clark's inclusion in a fake lineup revealed something more than loyalty. It revealed fear. Fear that their era is ending. Fear that someone newer, louder, and more marketable might actually replace what once felt untouchable. And let's be honest, the idea that Paige and Clark can't coexist on a roster, that's not coming from fans. It's being fueled by leadership decisions that consistently pit women athletes against each other instead of building with them. They're playing divide and conquer while acting like they're protecting the sport. But who's it really helping? Not the fans. Not the players. Not the sport. The entire Team USA program is now in a hot seat, not just for who they'll pick, but for how they're making these decisions. If the people in charge are truly scared of how the public will react to any one player's inclusion, then maybe they're not the right people to be choosing the roster in the first place. Merit-based decisions should be the baseline, not something you weigh against fan backlash. But that's where we are. Leadership isn't acting like leadership. It's acting like it's stuck between a PR firm and a focus group. And athletes like Caitlin Clark are the ones caught in the middle. The Olympic Committee is supposed to put together the best team, not the team least likely to trend on Twitter. And if Clark is being left out or considering stepping away because leadership can't handle a shift in fandom, that's not a player problem. That's a leadership crisis. The idea that players are being selected or excluded based on who their fan bases might cancel next is ridiculous. This isn't high school. This is the Olympics. And it's supposed to be about performance. But performance isn't what's being prioritized anymore. The game behind the game, the drama, the politics, the image management, that's what's running the show. And Clark, whether she meant to or not, is forcing everyone to look directly at it. Because here's the hard truth. She's calling their bluff. She knows the system needs her more than she needs it. She knows she brings more viewers than half the roster combined. She knows that her impact on the sport is measurable, visible, and undeniable. And still, she's the one expected to keep quiet, to play along, to be grateful just to be in the conversation. Enough of that. You can't ask a player to carry the sport's growth and then punish her for being the face of it. You can't plaster her on promo materials, sell out games because of her, and then treat her as a threat behind closed doors. The sport can't have it both ways. This entire controversy, sparked by a fan-made graphic, escalated by loyalty wars and fueled by rumors, has shown everyone just how fragile the current system really is. If one lineup post can cause as much disruption, then something is clearly broken. And let's not forget the hypocrisy. We've seen other players coast into roster spots based on reputation alone. We've seen injured players added without question. But with Clark, every move is scrutinized. Every choice is controversial. Every rumor becomes a debate about whether she's earned it. But what more does she have to do? She's brought in millions of new fans. She's made people care. She's shown up and performed on the biggest stages under the most pressure. If that's not enough, then nothing will be. And still, She's being treated like a liability instead of an asset. The tension between generations is real, and it's not going away. The fans who supported women's basketball for years, who have watched players like Bueckers, Gray, and Stewart grind through season after season, feel like something is being taken from them. And the fans are just now falling in love with the game, thanks to Clark's explosive presence. Feel like they're being ignored by a system that refuses to evolve. But here's the truth. Both groups matter. Both fan bases are valid. The problem isn't with the players. It's with the people at the top who are so scared of change they're burning bridges instead of building new. And if Clark is ready to walk away because of it, that should terrify leadership. Because the message it sends is loud and clear. This isn't just about who wears a jersey. It's about who controls a narrative. And right now, it's not the people in suits. It's the players, the fans, and the cultural wave that Caitlin Clark helped unleash. This whole situation, it's exposed the fault lines in women's basketball like never before. Because what we're seeing right now is a full-on collision between tradition and disruption, between earned loyalty and rising influence, between playing the game and changing it entirely. Caitlin Clark has changed it. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't wait her turn. She didn't fit neatly into the mold that women's basketball leadership carved out years ago. And that's why she's become the most talked-about name in the sport. That's why she's brought in record-breaking numbers. And that's exactly why some people want her out of the picture. Not because she hasn't earned her spot, but because her spot threatens the people who used to own the stage. And let's talk about that rumor. Clark refusing to accept a spot on Team USA if Paige Bueckers is selected. Whether it's fully accurate or exaggerated by social media drama, it didn't come out of nowhere. It came from a fan base that's watched Clark be repeatedly used to grow the sport, only to be disrespected in return. And at this point, any sign that she might be pushing back, people are ready to believe it. Because why wouldn't she be frustrated? She was left off the Olympic team, despite being the most popular player in the country. She's constantly accused of not being experienced enough or a good team fit, even though she's literally changing the way people watch the sport. And now, a hypothetical lineup ignites a firestorm where she's once again positioned as the problem. The message is loud and clear. Rise too fast, and we'll drag you back down. And for what? To protect the legacy of players who've already had their moment? That's the ugly part of this. What no one wants to say out loud. Some of this resistance isn't about fairness or experience. It's about keeping the spotlight on the people who've always had it. And Clark? She's walking in and stealing that light with every three-pointer and sold-out arena, without asking. But why should she? Because the numbers don't lie. She's the reason attendance has skyrocketed. She's the reason broadcasters are finally putting women's games in prime time. She's the reason fans are debating Olympic rosters in the first place. Without Caitlin Clark, none of this drama even exists. And yet, here we are, watching her get blamed for the sport evolving. Drama only highlights it more. Paige is a phenomenal player. No one is denying that. She's been through injuries. She's led her team. She's earned respect. But this isn't about pitting two women against each other. It's about how leadership has failed both of them by refusing to pick a lane. Instead of creating space for both stars to thrive, they've allowed a narrative to grow that only one of them can exist at a time. And now that it's boiled over into this, with fans declaring ultimatums and insiders speculating on rumored tensions, the damage is done. And if Clark is holding her ground, if she is demanding that this nonsense be addressed before she commits to anything, then good. Someone needs to. Because enough is enough. Enough of the double standards. Enough of the coded language. Enough of pretending that popularity is a problem when it comes to women athletes. Newsflash, it's not. It's necessary. It's earned. And it's long overdue. You don't grow the game by shoving the most marketable player out the door. You don't expand your fan base by silencing the voice that brought people in. You don't protect a legacy by ignoring the future standing right in front of you. If leadership is scared of the fan base's reaction to certain players being included or excluded, then maybe they shouldn't be leading. Because the job isn't to manage public opinion. It's to put the best team on the floor. Period. And if that includes Clark, and it absolutely should, then you build a roster around her. You don't tiptoe around egos or worry about trending hashtags. You make the tough call. You lead. But so far, that leadership has been missing. What we've seen instead is a complete inability to deal with the moment, a fear of upsetting the old guard, a constant shifting of goalposts for what deserves an Olympic spot. And in the middle of all of it is Caitlin Clark, once again being asked to carry the weight of a league, while also being told she's too new, too flashy, too disruptive. Well, maybe that's exactly what women's basketball needs, disruption, because the sport has never been hotter. The conversations have never been louder. The fan engagement has never been stronger. And that's not because of politics. It's not because of loyalty to certain veterans. It's because players like Clark have dared to be bigger than the system. And that scares people. But it shouldn't. It should inspire them. Because this is what progress looks like. Messy, loud, divisive, but also real. And if the sport wants to survive and thrive, it's going to have to embrace that reality, not run from it. Support Caitlin Clark. Support players who bring the sport into the spotlight and refuse to be minimized. Drop a comment if you're done watching leadership play scared. Like the video if you think roster decisions should be based on talent, not on who makes the least noise. Share it with someone who still thinks Clark is just a media creation. And subscribe, because if this is what a fake lineup can trigger, the real drama hasn't even started.